Okay, so welcome to part 6, where we'll talk about the different child protection services we have in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as the children identified as being in need of protection or special protection. So first off, we'll start with the investigation process. Once a report of child abuse or mistreatment is brought to the authorities' attention, as in the Children's Authority, the investigation process is initiated in order to substantiate or not substantiate the allegations in the hopes of determining whether the child is in need of care and protection and what interventions in that case would be appropriate to suit the child's best interest. In order to substantiate the report, the authority will need to conduct a social investigation, which usually involves a home visit that includes interviews with the child's parents and other relatives, as well as a school visit and community inquiries. Additional investigative work might be necessary to ascertain the facts of the case, so a proper recommendation could then be made to suit. Simultaneously, though, a criminal investigation is conducted by the Child Protection Unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Once the authorities' psychosocial investigation is completed and the authority is of the view that the child is in need of care and protection, they may, where appropriate, take the child into their care in accordance with what is stipulated in the Children's Authority Act, which we will get a little bit more into closer to the end. However, all of this information is easily accessible online. A quick Google search and you'll be able to find all of this. So now, the Child Protection Unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and it was formed specifically to address child protection issues. And in fact, there are CPU officers assigned to every police station in the country, so you can report cases of abuse or mistreatment or suspected abuse and mistreatment to any local police station that you have access to. So the CPU assists with the removal of children from dangerous situations, 2, the implementation of a court order which has been obtained concerning a child in a situation where public peace has to be preserved, and 3, visiting children and families who live in high-risk areas, so keeping an eye on children who may be more likely to be subject to abuse or to be exposed to some form of mistreatment. Then we have the Probation Services Division. The Probation Services Division is responsible for conducting investigations on behalf of the court in different instances. They prepare probation reports with recommendations for sentencing child offenders. They also prepare domestic violence, custody, maintenance, and access reports with recommendations for children and families who have civil matters pending before the court. The investigation unit of the Children's Authority will therefore work closely with these officers to inform critical decisions that are to be taken, again, in the best interest of the child. Then we have medical and psychiatric social workers. In many cases of child abuse, neglect, or mistreatment, they are usually attended to at hospitals, health centers, or district health facilities. If you remember what I said in an earlier video, especially in cases of sexual abuse or suspected sexual abuse, a district medical officer has to be involved in order to do a proper examination. Such cases are usually referred to medical or psychiatric social workers for investigation and intervention. The Children's Authority will work closely with both the medical and psychiatric social workers in the investigation of these cases of abuse, since they usually come through the health sector. Next, we have National Family Services. And this is the primary institution that focuses on matters relating to the child and the family. It's staffed with professionally trained social workers who assist individuals, couples, families, and communities in order to address issues relating to life crises, domestic or family violence, abuse, marital problems, incest, relationship problems, depression, and drug abuse. With regards to Tobago now, the Children's Authority has engaged the social services agencies that fall under the purview of the Department of Health and Social Services of the Tobago House of Assembly to conduct joint investigations of all care and protection matters that involve children. Certain processes have been developed with the Children and Family Services Unit community social services unit, student support services unit, and the medical and psychiatric social workers that reside in Tobago. And here are just a brief list of emergency numbers that are good to know, especially if you're concerned about a child in your family or someone else's family, or a child that you just happen to observe might be at risk of abuse or mistreatment. So there's the Children's Authority hotline, so you can report cases directly to them. There's also the police station, and you can ask to be transferred to the child protection unit of the station that you're redirected to. And of course, there's our number, ChildLine. You can also report cases of abuse or suspected abuse to us as well. The Victim and Witness Support, Child Guidance Clinic, and National Family Services Division. So now on to what actually happens when you make a report to an agency. So when you make a report about child abuse to the Children's Authority, police, or ChildLine, the information is taken by a Children's Services Associate, or in our case, an active listener, the ones who pick up the 800-4321 number, who will obtain as much information as possible on the child. The Children's Services Associate or the active listener receiving the report will enter the data into a very secure and confidential database, because we don't want this information exposed to anyone outside of the situation. Reporters will be given an identification number, which can be used so you can receive a brief update on the stage at which the report has reached. However, the listener or the Children's Services Associate will not provide you on any extended details, because of the child's right to privacy and the need to adhere to confidentiality rules. The level of urgency will also be determined, and an investigation will follow suit. So these are just some more general child protection tips, and also always keep in mind that child protection is not always black and white issues like, was the child physically harmed or is there abuse? Child protection can mean broader things, like just looking out for a child's emotional state, being there for them, offering affection and attention and validation of their feelings. So don't leave your children unattended at any point in time, even if you think the child is mature enough for their age and they could handle things. You don't want to be the parent to find out that you made a mistake by doing that and something went wrong. If you're unable to supervise your children, leave them in the care of a responsible and trusted adult that you know, and still, even then, check in regularly on how the child is doing. Ask the child about their experiences if anything is going on. Make sure the child is comfortable enough to come to you, if even then, when you think they're safe, something can happen, because often cases of abuse involve persons or even relatives that the child knows and trusts. Engage in family time as a means of communicating and bonding with them. Remember, you want them to feel comfortable and willing to talk to you about certain things. Engage them in extracurricular activities. It also reduces the chances that they have time to get into too much trouble. Know who your child's friends are. Know who it is that they're talking to online, the people that they're associating with. Find out if it is they're being exposed to peer pressure and what that might be doing to their mental state and what you could do to help them. Put away sharp utensils. Again, just because a child seems mature or like they're responsible, things can still happen. They're still children and you want to protect them as best as you can. Store dangerous chemicals like bleach or gramazone or drain cleaner, lye, things like that, away from children, or at least in a locked cupboard that they can't easily get access to, although preferably somewhere they wouldn't even expect it to be, or they wouldn't be able to find it, because where there's a will, there's a way with children. Prohibit use of the stove or matches or lighters or anything that could catch a fire or burn down the house or anything like that. Keep them away from that. And even if all of that fails, have a fire escape plan and practice it occasionally so that they know what to do should there be danger, who to call, how to protect themselves, how to get out of the situation. Speak to them about safely browsing the internet, and when applicable and age appropriate, use parental controls that are designed to protect them from inappropriate content, things like pornography or explicit videos, or even age inappropriate videos on YouTube even. And as appropriate, supervise their use of the internet and mobile phones. You don't need to hover over their shoulder all the time, but just keep a little eye on them from time to time. Have conversations with them. Just understand what it is they're getting up to, especially when you're not looking. So now we're going into the children in need of protection. So now we have a question. Question 5. Which of the following can be considered children in need of protection? A. Migrant children on the move. B. Unaccompanied minors. C. Children in conflict with the law. D. Children living with disabilities. E. All of the above. F. B, C, and D only. Or G. A and B only. So the correct answer is E. All groups of children listed here can be considered in need of protection, since they are all still likely to be abused, experience some form of exploitation, or even be neglected or deprived of their human rights. It does not matter their nationality, the color of their skin, the status of their parents, where they live, what language they speak. All children are still potentially at risk of abuse or maltreatment of some kind, some more than others, but all children still are in need and deserving of protection. So now on to that part of the Children's Authority Act that addresses when a child is in need of care and protection and what the authority may be able to do about it. Again, this is easily accessible online, the Children's Authority Act in particular. So, Part 3, Children in Need of Care and Protection. Where the authority is of the view that a child is in need of care and protection and that its intervention is necessary, again, in the best interest of the child, it shall investigate the matter and it shall be lawful where appropriate for the authority to then receive the child into its care. 1A. A child is in need of care and protection where the child A has neither parent nor guardian who is fit to exercise care and guardianship. B. Is lost or has been and remains abandoned by his or her parent or guardian. C. Whose parent or guardian is prevented by reason of mental or bodily disease, infirmity or other incapacity, or any other circumstances from being able to provide for the child's upbringing, and there is no available person or persons capable, fit, or willing to undertake the care of such child in place of that adult. D. Is exposed to moral danger. So this is going on into more reasons where the child may be deemed in need of care and protection. So D is exposed to moral danger. E is beyond the control of his parent or guardian. F is ill-treated or neglected in a manner likely to cause him suffering or injury to health. G is destitute or is wandering without any settled place of abode and without visible means of subsistence. H is begging or receiving alms. I is found loitering for the purpose of begging or receiving alms. J frequents the company of any criminal, or K frequents the company of any common or reputed prostitute, not being the mother of the child. So these are just some examples of children in need of protection. And of course, this may not be an exhaustive list, and regardless of what category a child falls under, all children are deserving and potentially in need of protection. But these are specific cases that would likely fall under what is stipulated in the parts of the Children's Authority Act that I just read. So street children, differently able children, children who live in families at risk or considered at risk, abused children, mentally ill children, children infected with HIV or AIDS, juveniles who are in conflict with the law, or migrant children on the move, something that's very relevant to our state as a country right now. Children who are victims of commercial sexual exploitation and trafficking, children engaging in substance abuse, and a good few others, and a lot of other children may fall under this list, but they may not even be listed here. So that should bring us to the end of the child protection webinar content. Thank you very, very much. If you bothered to make it this far through all of the videos, thank you so much for listening. And if you attended the original workshop, thank you so much for being there and for contributing. And again, Remember to please put your thoughts or your comments or your questions down below underneath the video. And I just want to remind everyone, even if you're a parent and you technically don't fall under the 25 years old limit that we have at ChildLine, that does not mean that you shouldn't call or you're not allowed to call us to ask for support. We understand that for parents things can be very, very difficult, and we don't want to disregard the struggle that parents go through in protecting children and looking after them and giving them the best upbringing that they can. So I want you to remember that if you are frustrated or you're getting angry, that's okay, and it doesn't make you a bad parent. But we do encourage you to speak up when things are getting overwhelming. Call us either 800-4321 or 131. All calls are free and confidential, just as they are for children or persons under 25. Please call and don't be ashamed to ask for support or advice. And these are our social media handles and our website. For any future workshop sessions or any services that we offer, you can visit any one of these platforms to see any of our promotions of any activities that we're about to have. Thank you for watching, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel for any future webinar content or any other video content that we may post here in the future. Thank you very, very much. Do have a nice day.